Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed the delicious snacks and are ready for some more knowledge. Next up is Selina Zhu, where she'll be discussing the Matilda effect, which is based on how women and their works within the STEM field go unrecognized due to being overshadowed by male scientists' progress.
Hello everyone, my name is Selina Zhu, a current Year 12 student and a potential woman in STEM. I would like to start by mentioning the 5th Solvay International Conference on Electrons and Photons, held in October 1927. At this event, 17 of the 29 participants were or became Nobel laureates. Outstandingly though, only one out of the 29 participants is female, and she is Marie Curie. I was extremely shocked by this event at how male-dominated the field of science is. What was more depressing was that women's work was simply just not being recognized. This is mainly due to what we call the Matilda effect, which is when female scientists' achievements are credited to their male colleagues. The term was coined by Margaret Rossiter, who named it after Matilda Gage, the first person to describe this phenomenon in their essay. Up until now, only 12 of the 225 Nobel Prize winners in physiology or medicine are women. 8 of the 191 Nobel Prize winners in chemistry are women. And 4 of the 221 Nobel Prize winners in physics are women. I don't know about you, but I was definitely shocked by the great imbalance in these numbers when I first heard them. The reason behind this phenomenon is purely because that in the patriarchal society back then, women did not have as many opportunities as men to study, especially in the field of science, which was thought to be the men's territory. According to research, less than 30% of researchers in STEM careers are women, and women in general are paid less than men for all entry-level jobs. However, even under all these restrictions and unfair hidden rules that are set against women, they still made significant achievements that I think is important to be recognized by us, modern-day students, since their theories exist in every single textbook, yet we do not know who truly discovered them. Therefore, in this speech, I would like to introduce you to several female scientists who were not credited for the work they did, as I think they should be rightfully acknowledged for their significant scientific contributions. The first female scientist I would like to make known is American scientist Eunice Foote, the first person to discover what we now know as the greenhouse effect. With just one air pump, 2 glass cylinders, and 4 mercury and glass thermometers, she was able to come up with a foundation theory of the greenhouse effect. However, her work was published in 1856, but it was not discovered until 100 years later after she has passed away in the 20th century, found by the female academics. Before this, scientists have always credited John Tyndall as the first person to experimentally show the mechanism of the greenhouse effect. I wanted to introduce her since global warming is an extremely concerning issue right now, and she has acknowledged this issue in the 19th century. However, due to the unfair restrictions set against women, her work was not being credited, and she was not known by many. This is not the only case. Another superwoman I would like to introduce to you is Lise Meitner, an Austrian-Swedish physicist. She was the second woman to complete a PhD in physics at the University of Vienna and was the first full female professor of physics in Germany. In her science career, she discovered the radioactive isotope protactinium-231 in 1917, and in 1938, she discovered what we now know as nuclear fission with her nephew, Otto Frisch, who is also a physicist. Their discovery was extremely significant as it led to the production of the first atomic bomb during World War II. However, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for nuclear fission only went to Otto Frisch, and her name was not mentioned at all. She was also nominated nearly 50 times for the Nobel Prize, yet she did not receive any of the awards. Which is depressing since despite discovering nuclear fission, a key knowledge point that is in all science curriculums globally, her gender inequality and the hidden unfair restrictions that were imposed on female scientists meant she was not able to be recognized. Now I would like to introduce you to Chen Xun Wu, a Chinese-American physicist who contributed to nuclear and particle physics. Wu faced many injustices in her science career. She was once accepted to University of Michigan, but knowing that women weren't even allowed to use the front entrance, she changed her mind and went to University of California, Berkeley to complete her graduate study. More ironically, even after conducting the Wu experiment, which proved that the parity laws do not conserve, hence contributing significantly to discoveries about elementary particles, the Nobel Prize in Physics went to two of her male colleagues, and her name was not being mentioned. I wanted to introduce her not only because I am also a Chinese girl who wants to go into the field of science, but because even having the Wu experiment named after her, she did not receive any credits and was not even awarded the Nobel Prize. Next is Nettie Stevens, an American geneticist who came up with a theory stating that sex determination is determined by genetics rather than environmental or other factors. Her work has also led to what we now know as the X and Y chromosomes. Sadly, her male colleague, Edmund Wilson, has been credited more than her for this discovery, even though he has wrongly identified that environmental factors played a role in sex determination. There is also Theo of Croton, Marietta Blau, Jocelyn Burnell, and this list could go on and on. There might even be victims of the Matilda effect that we just don't know of. While this imbalance in gender representation might be the norm in the past due to patriarchy, we should actively fight for greater equal gender representations in STEM subjects now that the feminist movement has been occurring for nearly 1 century. For there to be more females in STEM, we girls should empower ourselves. The point I want to get across is that gender equality shouldn't be a noun. It should be a verb, and we should all actively fight to make a change. I would like to end by sharing this quote from Françoise Barry-Sinoussi, a virologist. She said that certain people, men of course, discouraged me, saying science was not a good career for women. That pushed me even more to persevere. Thank you for listening, and hope you can all put in an effort to make gender equality a verb rather than a noun. Thank you.